Okay guys, so this week we are going to continue learn how to find the rate of change from a table or a graph, and when we succeed of finding rate of change, we are going to write the equation. Okay, so let's start with table and graph. So when you are given a table or graph, you're able to read the ordered pairs, or given the ordered pairs, you going to graph them. Okay, let's take a look on the example, the hours and the money earned. So when you don't work, you will have 0 hours and you make no money. But when you start to work at 1 hour, you make $10. So money earned is dependent variable, is depend on the hours. And 2 hour work, you make 20. 3 hour work, you make $30. 4 hour work, you make $40. And then you're able to graph them. So remember hours, this is x-axis, horizontal, and then money earned is dependent variable, is the y-axis. It's also known as what? Dependent variable. Okay, and then we're gonna start to practice. You are given a table for number 1 and you are going to graph them. So this is your x-axis, horizontal, and this is your y-axis, vertical. And at this point right here is 0, 0, which is your origin. And now you always start at your origin. Okay, let's start graphing 0 and 5. And remember, x-axis telling me it's either going to the right or going to the left. If it's positive, it's going to the right. If it's negative, it's going to the left. Y-axis is telling me after you graph x-axis and you graph your point at x, you will count up or down. If it's positive, your point going up. If it's negative, your point going down. Let's start graphing 0 and 5. So 0 is x-axis, so it stays right here. It does not go left, does not go right, but it's going up 5 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is my first point, 0 and 5. Next point I'm going to graph is 1 and 6. So my x-axis start at 0, going to the right 1 unit, and going up 6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is my second point, 1 and 6. Next point I'm about to graph is 2 and 7. 2 is x-axis, 7 is y-axis. So start at the origin, going to the right 2 units, and going up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the last point is 3 and 8. So 3 is x, 8 is y-axis. So go to the right, 1, 2, 3, going up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's also make the fourth point. I will connect the line, and as you can see, it's a straight line, or I can call it at the linear line. And then you will have a linear equation. Next, you will see a graph, and from the graph, you're able to read the point and put it to the table, create a table. So you see 3 points that they are given to you. You're going to use that 3 point and plot it to the table. So the first point is this one right here. So for is, you can see it go to the x 0, start at 0, and it stay at 3 for y-axis. Next point is this one right here. So x-axis is 1, y-axis is 5. Last point, x-axis is 2, y-axis is 7. So we have 3 points. Number 3, they did not tell you what point you're gonna choose. However, we can do it on our own, okay? Choose the point that you can see the x and the y as a whole number. For example, this point right here, right? It's easy for you to read, but if you choose this point right here, it is not wrong, but it's just give you a decimal point, and later when you do the math, it will be a little bit harder. So I prefer you choose the point that the x and the y is a whole number. Okay? All right. So let's read the first point that I draw it earlier. It is what? The x is -4 and the y is -4 as well. Okay, so we got the first point done. Next one is this point right here. The x is -6 and the y is -8. And then I can choose this point right here. So the point line on the x-axis, right, at -2, and this does not go up or right. It does not go up or down, so it's a 0 for that black points right there. This red point right here, the x-axis is 0, but it does not go so that point is stay at 4, so it's 0 and 4. The last point, x is 2, y is 8. So we finish and review how to plot a point on the coordinated plane or create a table with the ordered pairs. This one, we will start to find the rate of change. Okay, so the first week of school, when we got back last week, we learned that K is constant of proportionality and K is found at y/x. So this week we are going to find the rate of change. We don't call it K, we call it M. Okay, K happen when we find K is when this one is proportional. So for M, when we need to find it, in the case of course, different, right? Non-proportional. If it is proportional, we can use K equal y/x. But if it's not proportional, we will find M, or when you get to 8th grade, we call slope. But I would just use the word rate of change in 7th grade. Okay? So the rate of change described as the rate at which a line is increasing or decreasing, or steepness of the line. So rate of change is also known as slope, or we can use M to find the rate of change in a table. Similar to k is y over x. But this time we're gonna find the change in y, divide the change in y by the change in x. Okay, I want you to highlight the term change in y and change in x. Change in y is we're gonna find the difference of the y, and change in x mean we're gonna find the difference in the x. So a little bit different with k. And then if you want to find the change in a graph, first we're gonna make a table, and then again you use change in y over change in x. And I will tell you how to find it in just a moment. Okay, so the first example is the example for k, proportional, because it starts at 0, 0. It's telling you this table and this graph right here is proportional. So we are going to use, you can use k or you can use m in this case. So if you use k, we can do y over x, which is, this is y, this is x. So 10 over 1, which is 10, 20 over 2, which is 10, 30 over 3, which is 10, 40 over 4, which is 10. So it's proportional. So you can use k to find out the rate of change. Y over x, which is 10 over 1, which is 10. However, you can use m in this case. I'm going to show you in blue. So m will be the rate of change. So we're going to find the change in y, put it over the change in x. Change in y mean we're going to find the difference of the y. I tried to erase it. Okay, this is hard to erase. Okay, change in y. So we can start at any point. For the first one, change in y is the difference between 10 and 0, which is 10. Okay, change in x is right here. The difference between change in x is 1 minus 0 is 1. So it's 1. So we have 10 right here, 10 over 1 right here, which is 10. So the rate of change is 10. Okay. And again, we can use change in y over change in x for non-proportional. Okay, number 1. Can you tell me this graph is proportional or non-proportional? And should we use k or m to find? So the first point you can see is when x at 0, your y is a number different than 0. It starts at 3. So this graph right here is non-proportional. If it is proportional, it will start at 0, 0. Start at the origin. The line go this way, something like that, right? Or the line start at this point, it is proportional. But it start at 3, so it is non-proportional. All right, let's find the rate of change for this linear line. Okay, so when you are giving a graph, you must create a table, like number 3 and number 4. Okay? So my table will include X and Y. And I would give myself 2 points so I can find the change in Y and the change in X. So the first point that I would choose is this point right here. So this point is X is 0, Y is 3. The second point I choose X is 1 and Y is 5. Okay? And then we can find the change in Y and then the change in X. So change in Y is the difference between 3 and 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. So change in Y is 2. Okay, so I take 5 minus 3. So I will take 1 minus 0 to find the change in X, which is 1. So, rate of change M will be change in Y divided by the change in X. The change in Y is 2. And then the change in X is 1. 2 over 1, which is 2. Number 2. So if they don't give you a table, we're going to have to create a table. So again, I will make a table, have X and Y. So they don't give you the point, and we're going to have to choose the point using this graph right here. So I would like to choose the one that I can see the X and Y with no decimal. So my calculating part will be easier. So I like to choose this point. So my X is negative 2. My Y is 4. So I got 1 point. The second point I will choose is this one. So my X is 0. My Y is stay at 1. So 0 and 1. Okay. Now I will find the change in Y over the change in X. So 4 and 1, I take 4 minus 1, I got 4. And if I do the top subtract to the bottom, on this side right here for the X, I would do the top subtract to the bottom as well. So negative 2 minus 2, 0 is negative 2. The change in X is negative 2. So my rate of change M, change in Y over change in the X. So change in Y is 4. Change in X is negative 2. And we're going to simplify this one. So positive divided by a negative, your answer will be negative. So 4 over 2 is 2. So rate of change is negative 2. And can you tell me this graph is proportional or non-proportional? Okay, we can tell the graph is proportional or non-proportional by looking at the origin. So this linear line right here does not cross the origin. So this graph is also non-proportional. Okay. Number 3. Okay. Are you ready? So they're giving you the table already, so we don't need to make a table for number 1, they don't give you a table, so that's why you create a table. But if you do, they do, you just need to find the rate of change by doing change in y over change in x. So 4 minus 3 change in y, I find the difference. 4 minus 3 is 1. Change in x, I do 4 minus 3, I do the bottom subtract to the top, so I have 3 minus 0 is 3. Oop. So rate of change m will be change in y over change in x. Okay, so change in y is 1, change in x is 3, so I have 1/3. Keep it as a fraction. You don't need to make it to be a decimal. Leave it at 1/3. Number 4. They give you the table, so we're gonna find change in y over change in x. So 45 subtract to 30 is 15. So change in y is 15. Change in x, 3 minus 2 is 1. So your rate of change will be change in y over change in x. So 15 over 1 is 15. Okay? Oh, by the way, number 3, proportional or non-proportional? When x is 0, y is 3, this telling me this is non-proportional. Proportional. If x is 0, your y is 0, this is proportional. But if it's not 0, it is a number 1, -1, 3, -3, it is non-proportional. Okay, and we can tell proportional or non-proportional by doing y over x, right? For example, if I do 4 over 3, if I do 4 over 3, what do you have? 1.3, right? I would say 1.3 up here. But if I do 5 over 6, it is 0.8. If I do 6 over 9, it is 0.6. So these are different. It is non-proportional. But if they are the same, it is proportional. Okay, let's try number 4 to see is this one proportional or non-proportional. Y over x, 30 over 2, I got 15. 45 over 3, I got 15. Y over x, 75 over 5, I got 15. 105 over 7, I got 15. So they are the same. So this is, of course, it is proportional. And as you can see, it's 5, 7, 5, 3, 2. Do you know what next? If it's 1, it will be 15. And if it's 0, it will be 0. So 0, 0 is proportional. So go ahead and do extra practice on Schoology.